My name is Tanvi, and I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I've chosen to share my story and healing journey with the community through Sikh Family Center. I realized sharing stories is not safe physically, mentally, socially for every survivor, and I respect that. After attending few sessions of Beyond Bichaari, Poor Thing, a program with Sikh Family Center, I realized the need to share my story publicly to let people know that there is hope and there's light at the end of the tunnel. Domestic violence often remains hidden in silence. I'm here to break that silence. Over the course of few short videos, I'll be sharing my experience to help others recognize warning signs and red flags, describe how I survived, and recount my journey towards healing and empowerment, all on my own terms. If you or someone you know needs support, please know that there are resources available, including helplines and community organizations. Together, we can awaken our community to the real dangers of domestic violence, support those that are affected, and even prevent violence and harm in the future.
What are some of the patterns of abusive behavior that were becoming apparent in the relationship?
It started with isolation of friends and family, like stopping me from going to family events or friends events. It gradually grew into manipulation of his mood swings, where he said I was responsible of how he was feeling. He made me feel guilty. It slowly grew into verbal abuse, threats of intimidation of, him leaving me, even cheating on me, and controlling behavior of, finances, the whole financial sector of my life. He began controlling where I was spending my money, where I wasn't, making sure he took control of all my money.
Do you think you can possibly share an incident or incidents that made you realize that something just was not right in the relationship?
So my first incident of physical abuse that I can recall was we were at a gas station and there was an argument over money. I did not have the amount he was looking for. He claims to be aiming for the car window, but he actually aimed for my lip. And he had directly punched my lip area, and a hole formed in it where my tongue can actually come out through the hole. And that was my first incident. How he manipulated that situation was, I'm sorry, I was aiming for the car window, you were standing there, I hit you by mistake. I quietly went home. I took myself to the ER. The way I explained it was that, I fell in the gas station instead of, this happened to me. I still have a scar that I look at sometimes in the mirror. But that was one. An incident that grew into where he stabbed me with a screwdriver, which came from also money-related issues. The abuse relationship was revolved around financial aspects and him not willing to work towards our goal.
How did fear, if any, play a role in your decision to stay in the relationship or not seek help earlier?
Well, it had lots to do with self-blame and shame. I had gone against everything and anything I believed in for this relationship. I was warned against it. Everyone I knew was against it. And I was determined to be in it. And then there's emotional attachment. He was my first everything. How can I walk away from somebody who I have that kind of bond with? And then there's love and hope. Like, I still believe that despite everything that had happened, I can make everything better. I can change everything for the better. So I believe.
What were some of the community-specific factors that influenced your situation?
So victim blaming, people taunting me that since I've chosen this, now I have to deal with it. So that was a hard road to navigate around and process. How do I work around this? How do I deal with this? And coming out of it, is this my fault or not? And then the very big one that I think everyone's used to, कि लोग क्या कहेंगे? What will people say? That is the fear that lives with us consistently and constantly, and it's something that I think stops us from helping others and receiving and seeking help.
Did you seek professional help, such as therapy or support groups? And if so, how did that impact your healing journey?
So during that time when I was going through that, I did not seek help. One, I wasn't aware of a lot of resources available to me. You don't see much of these amazing community and organization available today, available back then. And two, I was encouraged to not be so public about my separation. So I did not have a lot of support in that. I was told to keep quiet about it, not make an announcement about it. So for nearly a year, nobody even knew I was going through this separation, through this divorce, and I was just basically told to sweep it under the rug and not talk about it. I was also my own support, and I relied at that time heavily on my faith, Sikhi, Vaiguru. He is truly somebody who got me through everything. I don't know where I will be if I didn't have the Gurdwara. I didn't have him to always, have conversation with Vaiguru. Not necessarily question why me, but just having him there to support me, feeling him with me at all times.
So do you think you experienced PTSD in any way? And do you experience triggers, or did you experience triggers?
Yes, and I still do. One of my main triggers is car keys. For example, I always need to know where my car keys are. I have a panic attack if I don't know where my car keys are, because my car has saved my life more than once. In the middle of the night, if I had to run out of the house, if I was being attacked, even during the day, even half cloth, I grabbed my car keys, I would run in my car, and I would sleep in my car sometimes. I would drive all night until it was safe to come back home. So I need to know where my car keys are.
You mentioned that you felt a lot of comfort in going to the Gurdwara. Were there any other spaces that made you feel safe?
Yes, work and college. I went back to school to finish my degree, and of course work. I was pretty much a workaholic. So both of these places actually had a big role in saving me. In fact, I didn't begin even processing my grief until the day I finished my last class. So I sat in my car and closed the door, and on the day of my last class in October 2012, I shut the door and I just burst out crying. That was the first time I actually let myself feel everything that had happened to me in 2 years.
So looking back on your experience, what do you wish you had known about earlier in your journey?
That abuse is not your fault. No matter how much victim blaming you get, no matter how many times he tells you it's your own fault, abuse is absolutely not your fault. Also, trust your intuition, trust your gut. It will usually lead the way. Also, do not wait to leave. I know sometimes the situation warrants it that you want to make sure you have resources or the community, or you may not have somebody to help you, but sometimes waiting can lead to situations that you may run out of time, especially you have children involved, that they may start to become affected. So I would encourage you to reach out to your community, your other resources or inner circle to help you. There is hope. There is a way out. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
So how can family and friends best support someone going through this? What I mean is, what is supportive and what is not supportive?
They can listen without judgment. They can offer practical help. They cannot blame them. They cannot pressure them. And what I mean is, if they're not ready to leave their abuser, they can instead encourage them to seek support in other ways instead of saying, oh, leave them now. Sometimes victims are not ready to take that step but instead need support in other ways. Maybe listening to them, maybe letting them know that we're there. These are some of the ways that sometimes they need help. But if you blame them or talk negative, sometimes the victims can go in hermit hole. And that's not something we want to do. We want to encourage them to speak up. We want them to take the baby steps and come forward in their own pace and in their own time. Helping them create a safety plan is something that they can do, like have a backup plan that if this happens, how can I help you? What is the best thing we can do to get you to that safe place? To anyone currently in an abusive relationship, you are stronger than you realize. Taking even the smallest step towards safety, whether that's reaching out to a friend, calling a hotline, or simply acknowledging that what's happening isn't right, is a powerful act of courage. You do not have to go through this alone. There are people who care about you, and there are resources available to help guide you to safety on your terms at your pace. And to those supporting someone in an abusive relationship, your compassion and patience can make all the difference. Sometimes just knowing there's someone who believes in them and is ready to help when they are ready is all they need to find the strength to break free. Together, we can help create a world where no one feels trapped by abuse. The best is yet to come.